Right, so now we can take the top two influences, which are the alignment of protesters and university management and the nature of the protesters' demands. We think these are the things that are going to have the biggest influence on the question of what will South African higher education look like in January 2018. So we take these and we map them onto what we call our scenario canvas. And it's a 2x2 matrix, and we put on either end of the continuum, on the vertical continuum, the alignment of protesters and university of management, which can either be aligned at the top or divided at the bottom. All right, and we can decide where we are at the moment. I guess we probably right now somewhere halfway towards the bottom. And then the nature of the protesters' demands, unfocused protester demands, so there's many different, and it's hard to quantify exactly what the protester demands are, or focused protester demands, which are very clear, and there's strong alignment between different groups. So when I initially looked at this, I came up with 4 scenarios, which I called Back to the Future, Apartheid, Marikana, and Kadisa. And Marikana and Apartheid you'll be familiar with because we looked at those in the first part of the video. But Kadisa, let me just explain what I understood by that to be unfocused protester demands, but management is aligned with the protesters. And what I meant by this was symbolic, like in the 1991-93 Kadisa process, where the ANC and the National Party and many other smaller parties all negotiated. There was alignment in terms of they were at a party and they were negotiating. They were at a table and negotiating. But it was a very difficult time. And I thought Kadisa kind of summed that up quite well. But as I looked at it a little bit more, I thought, actually, it's not plausible that you're going to have unfocused protester demands, so demands that are changing and shifting and different groupings coming in and out, and still keep in alignment with the management of the university. I thought that was rather unplausible. And so I took that scenario out and I said, that's not a likely scenario. It's not plausible enough. So I cut my scenarios down to 3. And on the right-hand side of the top, I said Back to the Future, which was a little bit like Back to the Future of the 1980s, but with a chance to do it differently. All right, that was my initial thought about that scenario. But then, which was basically, a transition from apartheid to a democratically elected government, but with a chance to do it differently. And then I thought, no, I think a better name there would be Democracy Reloaded, which is really saying that there were mistakes made in 94 in the transition, and there's an opportunity within the universities now to correct some of those mistakes and to have a second chance at defining what democracy looks like, and with an understanding that what happens at the universities has a broader impact on the community and South African community at large. So there's a real opportunity here if the protesters can get really aligned around what their demands are. All right. So that is, probably having some time to get organized and to consolidate the different groupings that are making up the protesters, and at the same time building alignment between themselves and management coming to the party there, and showing goodwill in terms of actually understanding what the protester demands are. So there's an opportunity for Democracy Reloaded. That was this scenario on the top right-hand side. So that then ended up with our 3 scenarios: Democracy Reloaded, Apartheid, and Marikana. And you can see how that maps from the scenario canvas into the 3 scenarios that we presented, or I presented.